thanks very much for joining us here. I know it's a very trying time in this, in the football industry and in the world in general. How are you doing? How are you keeping on? You stuck around in Peter Maritzburg. Was that a decision that you made consciously, or was that something that you sort of was just kind of forced upon you by the situation?
I do. I decided to stay. I think it was a safer option in terms of health, which I think is the main priority for everyone now. It would be nice to be home with my family. But I mean, there's 3 or 4 in the household as well, and it's just a lot of traveling, not trusting maybe the flights, and also to drive home is about 14 to 16 hours. So I figured that was probably chaotic leading up to the shutdown. So I figured staying in my home because I've been the only one here was probably my best bet, So I figured safety first because, we're all just trying to stay healthy and also just trying not to get infected because we're just trying to obviously help everyone stay healthy. So that was the choice I made. But so far, it's good. It's been day 2, so so far so good.
And how you managed to sort of keep yourself busy and keep yourself fit and stuff?
I've got I can call it a home gym set up on my balcony, and I have a gym opposite my front door, but the gym in the state has been closed down. They've closed down everything basically. So from home, I'm just doing my exercises. Obviously, having my history with injuries, I'm well aware of what to do within the house and what to do when you're not able to really leave the house. Having ACLs, you can't really walk and all those things. So I've kind of just, like I explained to my mom, it's kind of not an easy thing for me, but I've experienced it. So I think I'm getting along a bit better than what other people might, and obviously just enjoy my solitude for this 21 days.
Yeah, and I did want to touch on your injuries because, like you said, that this is not the first time that you've been, sort of confined to a space. I mean, this is a viral thing that's going on outside, but you've had, the fact that you've managed to come through what you've come through with the injuries you've had and have the season that you're having this season. It's amazing, really, to be honest, mate. But with your experience, what would you give as the biggest tips to footballers around South Africa who are trying to make sure that they keep doing what they need to keep doing in this period when they're not allowed to go anywhere?
I think the tips I can give the guys is that obviously being home, you need to understand that obviously you're not at training, so you're not burning as much calories in a day. So those little bit of bad eating habits, for example, is going to catch up with you now. If you having too many burgers or fatty foods, for example. So eating clean is obviously something that's important. And obviously just trying to find exercises specific to us as sportsmen, as football players. So strengthening maybe your muscle groups, for example, doing a hamstring curl is a small thing, but it's a problem that you can get if you go back after not running for a month, for example, and you can pull a hammy. So obviously physios and teams have that type of program sent in group chats, etc. So I feel like the guys just need to obviously not look at it as a holiday or a period where you can get away with things or down 1 too many beers, for example, because when you do go back, it's gonna catch up with you. Like you said, from my experience of being out for long, it's not easy, and there are some people who don't pick up weight easily, for example, and for those people, obviously it's easier, but for those who need that extra person in the ear every day training, I just say that you just need to try and stay focused and remember, as footballers, obviously we are paid to entertain, so if we want to come back, if God spares us after this 21 days, we need to be in shape, because there are games coming forward, and also some teams are in the relegation zone, for example, something that I know all about, and some of us were trying to fight for top 5. So there's goals to be achieved, and obviously eating clean and doing your program that your club has set out on a daily is important.
Yeah, and looking at this season, as I mentioned, you've had a tough career, man. Like, you've dealt with stuff that a lot of players probably couldn't have dealt with and come through on the other side. And I mean, how has this season been for you? I mean, look, we all knew you had it in your locker. We all know what you're capable of. But to have been able to show it now, I think you've played more minutes this season than in the last 3 combined or something like that. How are you feeling about it now in terms of, do you feel like you've I suppose come through the other side of the struggles that you've had?
Yeah, I feel like I've done an interview not too long ago, and they asked me if this was my best season. And I explained that I feel like it's my best season because of everything that's happened to me from the beginning of my career. I mean, I got my first PSL in my first season, which was also one of my best seasons. And to be honest, when you've gone through the struggles I have from an injury perspective, just being able to train and being able to be on the field is the biggest blessing. And I've obviously just started there. I didn't set big goals for myself. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I feel like I have overachieved in my first season back from my last injury. And I feel like I just got game by game, and obviously I needed to fight and get myself back into the lineup because, a coach might have the perspective of he's come from a long-term injury, so he might not get into the thick of things as quickly. And I was obviously fortunate to be offered the opportunity from the coach to give me that responsibility, and obviously I had to show him that, listen, as much as I just came back, I feel like I can offer. And from a mental perspective, when you do come from an injury or injuries, I mean, I've only had one type of injury. I've never had a hamstring, an ankle. I've just had the knees. So I think it kind of prepared me. And
you don't go little, yeah. It's when it's injury, it's a proper injury.
Yeah, and I get one that's a big one. Otherwise, those are small, minor ones. Just I don't know. I feel like it's helped me understand the game better. When you're sitting out for 10, 11, 9 months, it's not easy. And obviously, what I tried to do was in the previous season, for example, I was watching all the games, even though I was injured, and trying to steal and trying to see how I can use my strengths when I come back. And I feel that has been my biggest strength because I wasn't just sitting at home. I was actually watching and thinking, okay, I know my strengths, and when I come back, this is how I can help the team, and this is how I can get back to my best. And I feel like doing that little bit of analysis on the league, and obviously knowing the players and the coaches and the playing style of all the clubs, it actually paid off for me. And I didn't expect to kick off as good as I have in my first season back. I would expect it maybe next season to be like, okay, I'm actually getting back to my best. But God obviously offered me the chance to go and play, and I feel like I'm happy, mate. I don't lie. I'm enjoying my football, and every game going out for me is exciting because as much as I've had contracts and I've been playing in the league for years, I've never had this type of feeling where I'm playing a matchday squad every weekend, and having that extra responsibility of trying to help the team and seeing that I can help the team when I am fit has been good from a personal side. So in conclusion, I think I've overachieved in the sense of my minutes, but I do feel like in terms of my ability and what I can bring, I've always believed that this is what I can do and given the chance and when fit, and so far so good.
Do you think that those periods of solitude have made you stronger as a person and stronger mentally as well?
No, 100%. When you sit with your thoughts and you sit with the fact that if I wasn't injured, I could have been maybe I could have achieved this goal. I could have won more trophies or helped the team win trophies. You kind of face your demons and you face the questions that sometimes you don't wanna ask yourself. You just want the time to go by so that you can get back to that maybe happy place that you at when you are playing. So I do think that 100% it has made me a better person and a stronger human being. That's why I said this 21-day isolation for me is it's a bit of a breeze because I'm used to it. So yeah.
And just lastly, on a lighter note, how are you keeping yourself busy in terms of, I don't mean the football side of things, in terms of keeping yourself fit? Are you on a PlayStation? Are you playing board games? Like, how are you keeping your brain occupied?
Well, if I looked at day one yesterday, I did the normal football things in terms of the gym and that. But for me, it's been mostly Netflix, PlayStation. I bought a different game to what I normally play. I'm an NBA guy normally. I don't really play as much FIFA, but I bought some game called God of War. You probably know the game. Yeah, so far I'm enjoying it, and it's something that can keep me busy. And then obviously,
get your strategy going as well.
Yeah. Dude, I've actually Dan Morgan, my teammate's a bit of a gamer, so he kind of gave me a list of games to maybe keep me busy, like a play one type of game. And so far, that's all I've been doing for now. I've been cooking as well, which is something that obviously I do enjoy. But I'm probably gonna read a book or two, maybe read a book or two and just try to watch stuff that are more insightful on Netflix as well, just not your normal movies and series. So motivational things. That's about it. That's all I've been doing. So we can do. So
been doing basically exactly the same thing, mate. But I know you've got things to be doing. I know you've got training still to do. So I'm going to leave you to it. But honestly, mate, thank you very much for taking time out of your personal training schedule. And please, if you have any advice for people who are not used to this kind of solitude, not used to this kind of thing, please share that wisdom on social media and do all that kind of stuff, because I think there's a lot of people can learn from you and your mindset.
Thanks so much, Joe. I hope you and the missus maybe far from home, so I hope you stay safe in this time. And obviously, just want to encourage everyone else has to be responsible. Stay home, and I'll be uploading my tips on Twitter. So yeah.
Perfect. Thanks very much, man.
Good, mate. Have a good evening.
Cheers for that.
Cheers.